proper names.
Oh.
We're the Boxborough Minutemen. You know, we're not some kind of fancy regular soldiers with proper names. I'm Chad Childers.
Okay.
And my position is captain of the Boxborough Minute Company. We elect a new captain every year. So I have the proud opportunity to be the official leader of this group of rascals who are rebelling against the British. But really, it's such a fun group because every time I need something done, there are so many people who just pitch in and get it done.
Yeah.
You know, being captain is so easy with this group because, oh, Nate's got it all taken care of. He's setting up everything for Powder Party, and he knows I like cider.
Yep.
Now, do you have any distant relatives that were part of the Revolutionary War?
I have several ancestors. They're my mother's side of the family, the Wallaces. Hugh Wallace was a sergeant in the 6th Virginia Continental Line and had his leg shot off. Fortunately, before Valley Forge, because I think like 70% of his outfit died at Valley Forge from cold and starvation. So getting his leg shot off was a good thing. I probably wouldn't be here otherwise.
Now, how have you customized your uniform?
Well, we all customize our uniforms a little bit. We don't actually have uniforms in Boxborough Minutemen. So one of the things that makes us different than a lot of the reenactment companies is, you know, we sort of have the, I guess in reenactment companies they call it an impression. And so our impression would be of the Minutemen for that little bit of time when they were just civilians coming to the battle in Concord. The Battle of Concord is our big thing every year. So we don't dress up in uniforms. And you know, it's very interesting because there was a guy from Salem, Timothy Pickering, who wrote this broadside in the Essex Gazette about, real Americans don't need fancy uniforms and powdered wigs and all of that. We don't need all that fancy marching. We're just, normal, Massachusetts, Americans. So we don't have fancy uniforms. And you'll see a lot of the groups with, their fancy coats and all of that. We're all different and we're all kind of thrown together with, we'll have tricorn hats normally, but and we don't make sure we're all proper like the reenactment company.
Okay, I have noticed that you folks like to dress up your leggings or your stockings. Tell me a little bit about that. Is that a little competition that goes on amongst you guys, or?
I always match mine to my doublet. Yeah, everyone, I think it's mostly because they fall down and they get annoying, and people get creative in how they keep the stockings up. And it's always just who can find the most unique way to keep the stockings up.
Excellent, excellent. So, Chad, what's the name of your rifle?
I don't carry a rifle. I carry a brown bess musket.
Okay.
And I have not named my musket. I mean, I suppose I could ask Hoff that I got it from if he named it.
So, there's a little bit of a story there. So, first off, give me a little distinction between a rifle and a musket, besides the rifling.
Right.
But what else?
The brown bess was the flintlock musket, was the main arm of both sides in the Revolutionary War. A lot of the Minutemen would have been carrying it. Most of the Minutemen would have been carrying it. The one that I have actually has been in the company since like 1967. And, each guy, as he leaves the company, has found somebody else to pass it along to. So Hoff passed it along to me. So, it hasn't been there since the Revolution, but since the Boxborough Minute Company's been doing this pretty much.
Yeah, still 60 years company.
Yeah. So the brown bess musket is a flintlock muzzle loader. There are muzzle-loading rifles. Some of our guys will carry muzzle-loading rifles. Back then, rifles would not have been that common, probably in Massachusetts. You'd have seen a lot more of them in Pennsylvania, they're known for Kentucky, Pennsylvania. They had rifles typically further away from the coast, less settled. They typically would have had rifles. Supposedly George Washington wanted to make the British thought all of our guys were riflemen, but we had pretty few riflemen actually. Supposedly the Massachusetts and colonial guys were a lot more accurate than the British, which meant that maybe 2% of our shots might hit something.
Interesting.
We've gone to the range to try and fire them, and there are many times that the target ends up surviving the whole.
I actually at least kept the area of the target once.
There you go.
Not in the ring or anything.
I didn't in the last round. Time before, I landed a couple shots.
But yeah, round musket, you've got a ball which is, about that big, and it's not spinning at all, and it's just sort of out there.
It's like throwing a knuckleball.
Yeah.
So what's special about being part of the country's 250th celebration for you?
Oh my goodness. Well, I feel very lucky and happy that this group decided to elect me for this year, and I can be out in front leading us on to the 50th time that at least one of the guys has been doing this. Yeah, Jerry was captain in 1975.
Okay.
Yeah. We have other guys who are coming back. One guy wanted to come from Colorado but isn't going to make it. We've got another guy that's up in Maine that's coming back to join us. It's pretty exciting. It's pretty wonderful. I'm very sorry that U.S. Grant won't be here again.
Yeah.
At the 100th, U.S. Grant was here. At the 200th, Jerry Ford was here. We won't talk as much about that.
Or who might show up this year.
Rich,
Yes, sir.
how long have you been a member?
Oh, my. As long as anyone can remember, and then longer than that. No, not quite. Not quite. But probably about 30 years. But this is the first year I've ever marched. So I'm very excited about that. I've always helped on these various things that Chad was talking about. Fifer's Day, highway cleanup, volunteer work, freebie market, senior suppers, and so forth. I mean, that is part of what makes us, a community organization. And
thank you for running Fifer's Day this year.
wow, yeah, I am Chad's lieutenant, and with that comes the duty of running Fifer's Day. So I've done probably every little task imaginable associated with it, but never run the whole thing. I ran away from running it for 30 years, but it finally caught up with me. I was off on a cross-country road trip, and I got nominated and elected to the
And
job.
sent you?
Why do you think Tony?
I didn't run fast enough.
Anyways, I'm happy to do it. It's my time, and I've seen so many do a good job. I'm just following in their footsteps. They make it easy for me.
So, how have you customized your garb?
I mean, I haven't. I took what was available from our quartermaster, who provisioned me with hand-me-downs, and so I guess I just have to go with the flow a little bit till I figure out how to accessorize. I just want to stay warm if it's cold.
We still have that cloak.
We still have a spare cloak.
Oh no, yeah, I know.
No, it's a good cloak.
Yeah, I know it's a good cloak, but
With the Gore-Tex lines inside.
But I was thinking more long underwear and
Well,
that kind of
That
thing
works too.
long underwear is important.
if needed. So I'm learning. I'm always interested in learning new things. So just being here at the Powder Party for the first time ever, I am an expert now, almost at rolling these things.
Folding.
Mm-hmm.
And
Going fast.
and come
Yeah, I can't keep up.
Bedford, I guess I'll be firing off some blanks. I got myself a musket from one of the other Minutemen.
So tell me about your musket.
Well, it's a Hatfield 50 caliber. It's a beautiful looking utensil,
It is gorgeous.
Cool.
It is.
and I don't know how to fire it yet. So one of the guys is going to inspect it for me and give me a lesson on Friday. So I'm looking forward to learning about that. And Chad gave me his old Boy Scout rifle manual, so I've had that as a reference guide to study up on and learn what I didn't learn when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm. So, what's special for you about being part of this country's 250th celebration?
Well, it's obviously a very historic time, and both this year and next year. This year being the 250th of the Lexington and Concord battles and Bunker Hill, and we got the cannons from Fort Ticonderoga. So all those battles, and then the Declaration of Independence in '76, the founding of our nation. Mm-hmm. So my family has not been in the country for all that time. My grandparents came over from Ireland, and there was a period of time when I was living down south, and I was talking to one of the good old boys, and they were always referring to me as a Yankee, because I grew up in Braintree, Massachusetts was my hometown, and they always referred to me as a Yankee. And I said, my family didn't even come to this country, till after the Civil War. They immigrated from Ireland, and he just leaned back and he said, well, Rich, maybe that's the problem. I explained to him that up north, to be a Yankee, you had to be, in this country for generations, going back to, the Boston Brahmins and all of that. And when the Irish came over, they weren't exactly welcomed. But that didn't really cut it down there so much,
So I'm one of the Boxborough Minutemen, Sergeant Major or Safety Officer of the company.
Okay, and why do you enjoy being a Minuteman?
I've grown up with the Minutemen. My dad was a Minuteman before me, and I've been active with the company since the 80s, and I was knee-high. Couldn't officially be a member until I was 18. At that point, I was off in college. So the Minutemen grabbed me when I moved back to the state in 2018.
So that sounds like there's some lineage here. What relatives were also in previous Minuteman or actually in the Revolutionary War?
So my dad was one of the Boxborough Minutemen. He joined in the, I think, early 1980s. My family came over on the Mayflower years ago. We don't know of anyone that actually fought in the Revolutionary War, but we do have a family member that fought in the French and Indian Wars out west. So we do have a little bit of a history with that.
All right. Name of your musket, by chance. Do you have one?
I do have one. I call it Dad's because that was his musket, and when he moved down to Georgia, he left it here with me.
So for what's special to you about being part of the country's 250th celebration?
I've been trying to think of an answer all evening. I can't think of an eloquent... It's just a moment in history. It's a snapshot, and it's a nice time for us to pause and take stock of where we're at and where we want to go in the next 250 years.
What's your favorite revolutionary writer?
English major.
Go ahead.
Did you know that Casanova and Ben Franklin and Voltaire actually met each other?
In France.
In France,
Yeah.
And now that's a party I wanted to go to.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I'll get you the next one. What's your favorite music score or song from that era?
Well, White Cockade.
Okay. What's your favorite song of that era?
There's a song that they play at the Bedford pole capping.
Oh, the one the Fife Company plays?
It's in remembrance of the captain that passed away.
It is gorgeous.
It's gorgeous. I don't remember
know the name
it.
of it.
That's homework for you then.
It is.
Okay, Rich, what's your favorite writer from the era?
I would go with Thomas Paine.
Excellent. Favorite food or beverage from the time, Rich?
Beer.
Beer, okay. Chad? No, that's not a food or beverage.
Well, I mean, I am the cider fan, and cider was popular then. And we have local cider here in Boxborough.
We do.
Pony Shack that Nate makes, who was a former Minuteman. So, yeah, gotta be cider.
Okay. And how about you, sir?
There's a beer brewed out of white birch that I've been trying to make for years. I've yet to make it successfully, but maybe the 250th will be the year to have it done.
How many people are in the militia group in Boxborough at the moment?
So we have about 50 members,
Okay.
but usually there's 20, 25 of us
That are active?
typically, well, no, there's more than that are active. There's 20, 25 of us that actually go to parades.
Okay.
So the Boxborough Minutemen is not, we don't consider ourselves just a reenactment company. We're a community service group. We do a lot of cleanup on the highway. We have a scholarship at Acton Boxborough High School that we give out 2 scholarships a year.
Yep.
We do stuff for the food bank.
A number of different local charities.
Help out
Yeah.
with the freebie market.
Freebie Market,
Freebie Market.
Habitat for Humanity.
So we have guys who never get to parades anymore, but you know, there's one guy that, you know, Ken Whitcomb is a former captain, and he always arranges highway cleanup. You know, we've got, you know, Tony always arranges things for the
freebie.
well, no, Ralph arranges the freebie.
Oh, okay.
Tony arranges a lot of he arranges the stuff for the community service
Yep.
to the town, and arranges a lot of stuff for the food pantry.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Acton Food Pantry? No.
Yes, the Acton Food Pantry.
Acton Food Pantry. But yeah, so we have different interests in the community that we take care of, and also a big thing we do is Fifers. So yes, the reason that we do, we call it Fifer's Day in Boxborough, is because of Luther Blanchard, who was the Fifer for Isaac Davis's Minutemen Company. And Minutemen really didn't last very far after April 19th. You know, they were organized to be able to respond to something like the regulars marching off to get all the arms and powder at Concord. But after that, it was just the regular militia companies and the Continental Line and all of that. So, you know, the Minutemen were important for that one day, but after that, it was just the general militia, really.
And a lot of the Minutemen joined up with the local militia, but,
Oh,
or with
absolutely.
the regulars. But
Right, but they were no longer Minutemen companies for their town. They
right,
were off.
exactly.
They were mostly off at the Siege of Boston, I guess, after that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, you had mentioned before Alan talking a little bit about the history, and you're talking about Alan Rohr?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, Ellen is the head of our Boxborough Historic Commission, and he talks about Luther and Calvin Blanchard like he knew him. He knows so much about him. This year is the 250th anniversary of
Because this is Daryl and his other brother Daryl.
we got Ralph and Ralph.
We're
and
gonna-
Ellen there.
We're gonna do it.
Well, no. So
No, absolutely.
this year is the 250th of
Yeah.
our March to Concord and the Lexington and Concord and all of that. But next year is the 250th of the Bunker Hill Battle and
The Declaration of
Signing of the Declaration.
signing of the Declaration, which is more important to the rest of the country.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, it's just
50th time that at least one of the guys has been doing this. Yeah,
Jerry?
Jerry was captain in 1975.
Okay.
Yeah. We have other guys who are coming back. One guy wanted to come from Colorado but isn't going to make it. We've got another guy that's up in Maine that's coming back to join us. It's pretty exciting. It's pretty wonderful. I'm very sorry that U.S. Grant won't be here again. At the 100th, U.S. Grant was here. At the 200th, Jerry Ford was here. We won't talk as much about that.
Or who might show up this year.
Really, it's such a fun group because every time I need something done, there are so many people who just pitch in and get it done.
Yeah.
Being captain is so easy with this group because, Nate's got it all taken care of. He's setting up everything for Powder Party and he knows I like cider.
Yep.
It's, and when we run Fifer's Day, we have Tim who organizes the food. We have a bunch of people who aren't even members of the Minutemen Company who come out every year just to pitch in and help cook. And, just everybody shows up and pulls together and it all is magical.
It is. It seems like a lot of work and then all of a sudden it's there.
And we have a lot of fun.
We do.
So tell me a little bit more about the fun in regards to why you continue to be part of this group.
Well, there's a spirit of camaraderie. There is an absolute enjoyment of each other's company. We have, I'm sitting next to Rich here, who will come up with creative euphemisms for about any alliteration you can imagine. And we enjoy each other's company. We serve the community. We enjoy talking about history and learning about history. We enjoy going out to the parades. Really, the kids enjoying the parades. And we've got Memorial Day, and the kids in the community are out, and their eyes get wide and they're happy. Or we do Amesbury Christmas Parade, and the kids love it so much. It's so rewarding that it's just a pleasure to be part of.
What we're doing here is we're making cartridges out of paper to put some powder in so we can make noise with our muskets. And we're using a wooden dowel for the larger cartridges, which for example is what Chad would use in his Brown Bess bigger musket. I have a smaller musket. I'd be using a smaller cartridge, but and a smaller dowel. But basically what we do is we take a piece of paper and we roll it around the proper size dowel, depending on what size we're making. This is a large one under construction. Put some glue up there on the top of this piece of paper. Just roll that right over like so. Then I'm going to pinch one end. That's how this part of the production goes. And another little application of glue to make that stick. And then just to help it set, put one of these clips on it. And then we let that dry. And then when it's ready, over to Nate for loading up the powder and snipping up the other end of it.
So over here I'm taking the tubes that Rich has made, folded the ends over on. And now I'm going to weigh out or measure out a preset amount of powder. This is 7.5 grains. I'm going to take this, pour it into the tube. And then I'm going to fold over the other end. Then set it aside to dry.
how we produce a bang and a lot of smoke at
Yep.
the parade.
We'll bundle them up in piles of 10, and that's what people will carry in parades.